Welcome again, student. Now we'll be discussing on this chapter 7, which is the coordinate geometry. Okay, here we will be doing with the first part of this chapter. First of all, let us understand what is the coordinate system. Coordinate system is a system where both the axis x o x dash or the x-axis, y o y dash, which is the y-axis, are perpendicular to each other, and the point of intersection of the two axes O, denoted by O, is called as the origin. This system is also known as the Cartesian system. Okay, here in this graph I've shown to you x o x dash. This is the x-axis. Y o y dash is the y-axis. Both these axes are perpendicular to each other, and the point of intersection of these two axes is denoted by O, which is also called as the origin of the coordinate system. Clear? Next, this in this graph, the length the length NP, which is equal to OM, is called the x coordinate or abscissa. The length of O up to M is, which is equal to N up to P, is called the abscissa, and the length of ON is equal MP or PM, which is the y coordinate or simply ordinate. Okay, this is the abscissa and this is the ordinate. In this coordinate system, if you mark any point P on a plane on this coordinate system, if you mark a point P on the coordinate system, if you draw a line perpendicular to the x-axis, PM perpendicular to x-axis, and NP perpendicular to the y-axis, the distance from O to M is called the abscissa, and distance from O to N is called the ordinate. Clear? This means this point P here is denoted by x, y. That means the distance from O to M is x, and distance from O to N is y. Next, for this point, the point P has the ordinate xy, represented as pxy, is an ordered pair in which the x coordinate is written first and then the y coordinate. Mean first this is the ordered pair, xy is the ordered pair. You cannot write yx. First it should be x, the second point should be y. Okay, the first should be x and the second should be y coordinate. The ordered pair is separated by comma and is written within bracket. When you write any point, suppose if you take any point Q, xy will be in bracket, and between them it is being separated by a comma. Clear? Now, the important rule here in this coordinate system, any point moving to the right of the origin on the axis is taken positive. If you move from the origin to the right of on the x-axis, that will be counted positive. If you move from origin to the left on the x-axis, that will be count negative. If you move from origin upward on the y-axis, that will be counted positive. And if you move down from the origin on the y-axis, that will be count negative. That means positive will be on the right side and up side, and when you move up from the origin. Negative is when you move to the left of origin, and down of the origin will be negative. Here negative in negative, here positive, here also positive. If you move this side is positive, if you move up, if you move up above the origin is positive, if you move left is negative, if you move down it is negative. Clear? Remember all this position, where to move. If you move to the left, to the right, up or below. If you move to the left, negative, right, positive, up, positive, down, negative. Clear? Next, the division of a plane. The coordinates axis divide the plane to 4 parts, which are called quadrant. The axis, these axis, these two mutually perpendicular axis, the x-axis and the y-axis, will divide the plane into 4 parts, which are called as the quadrant. The first quadrant, which these quadrants are named as first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and the fourth quadrant. In the first quadrant, remember the first quadrant should always count this quadrant which is on the right side above the origin will be first quadrant, second quadrant to the left, third quadrant below on the left, fourth quadrant on the right below. Okay, first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and the fourth quadrant. And any point on this quadrant will always should be represented in as plus in the first quadrant. That means the x coordinate should be plus, y coordinate should be plus. In the second quadrant, the x coordinate will be minus because we are moving this side, isn't it? X coordinate will be minus, y coordinate will be plus because we are moving up. And in the third quadrant, x will be negative because we are moving to the left. Y also will be negative because we are moving down. On the fourth quadrant, x will be positive, y will be negative. Remember this the position of any point on the first, second, third, and fourth. On the first quadrant, both x and y will be positive. On the third quadrant, both x and y will be negative. On the second quadrant, x is negative, y positive. On the fourth quadrant, x is positive, y is negative. Clear? Now coming to the next, which is the distance between the 2 points. Suppose you have a point P and Q on a plane. Okay, we need to find out the distance between P and Q on a plane. Now in order to do that, what we'll do, to find out the distance between point P and point Q, the distance between them is given by the formula PQ equal x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1 root over of those points. PQ is called root over of x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. Okay, this is the distance, which is also called as the distance formula for any 2 points on a plane. Remember, if P x denoted by the point x1 y1, Q denoted by point x2 y2, then the distance between PQ is x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square and root over of all of them. Root over of root over of x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. Clear? Now, how do we arrive at this formula, which is also known as the distance formula? Let us see on the proof of this. Now, on the proof of this, okay, let us draw this line PL perpendicular to x-axis, and then QM perpendicular on the axis, and then you mark a point N on QM perpendicular to point, you draw this line PN perpendicular on QM. Okay, now you see in this triangle PQN, in this triangle PQ is the hypotenuse of this right angle triangle QNP or PQN, isn't it? If this is a right angle triangle, then by using Pythagoras theorem, PQ square will be QN square plus PN square, isn't it? The square on the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the square on the other two sides. That means PQ square equal QN square plus PN square. But what is QN? QN is the distance of the point y2 minus the distance. QN is QM minus QN. That means y2 minus y1. And this PN, what is the PN? PN is OM minus OL, isn't it? What is OM? Is x2. What is OL? Is x1. That means PN, distance PM will be x2 minus x1, isn't it? Hence PQ square will be, see here I've shown you, you refer this from the figure. PQ square equal PN square plus NQ square, that is the Pythagoras theorem. But PN, what is PN? PN is OM minus OL. PN OM minus OL, that is x2 minus x1, isn't it? Then NQ, what distance NQ? NQ is MQ minus MN. What is MQ? MQ is y2. MN, what is MN? MN is y1. Therefore, substituting the value, OM x2, OL is x1, OM is QM is y2, MN is y1. If PQ square equal this much, therefore PQ will be root over of x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1. This is the distance formula. You need to remember this formula. The distance between any 2 point PQ, where P has the point of x1 y1 and Q as the point x2 y2, therefore the distance between them will be x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus 1 whole square, then root over that. Clear? Now this is the end of the part 1. For solution of the exercise problem from this chapter, we shall discuss on our next part, which is the part 2. Now for the time being, you will have to remember this formula. The distance between any 2 point P and Q will be given by this formula, x2 minus x root over of x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus 1 whole square. Clear? Try to remember this formula, and in the next class we will utilize this formula for finding the distance between any 2 points. Okay, for the time we will stop here and we'll continue again on our next class, which is on part 2. Bye to all of you.